Well, welcome to the last part of the introduction to the macroeconomics lecture of the introduction to the economics course. Well, in this last part, basically, I want to talk on the two other topics. Actually, want to mention another one, third topic, three topics. Macroeconomics is focusing on in the economics. One is inflation and deflation. Inflation is basically the rise of the prices. Deflation is the opposite. It's the decrease of the prices, and usually both of them are seen are harmful for them in the economic system. And this is because instability of the prices is basically creating uncertainty. Inflation is especially one thing that is harming the creditors. Uh, so when you lend someone money, when you get that money, because the prices have risen, now the buying power of the money, that money will be less than what you expect. So you are harmed in that case. And actually, in the economic system, the biggest creditors are, you might be surprised, workers. Why? Because they work for a month and they usually get their money at the end of the period they work, which is usually a month. But they make the contract, which means actually the money they got for each month for a year is usually fixed. So inflation is basically hurting them. Although, according to Keynesian economics, inflation might be also something good in that sense because the workers' wages might in general be sticky. So when there's a crisis, usually when demand is low, companies are harmed from this, but they could be better off if they were able to decrease the when there's less lack of demand, the proper policy could be decrease of the prices, but they cannot decrease the prices because wages are high. The wages are sticky in that sense, according to Keynes. But if you have inflation, the prices of the outputs are increasing, the wages are relatively decreasing. So it is actually something that is helping the companies to adjust their costs at the time of crisis. So a little bit of inflation is usually seen as something good for the economic system. But large degrees of inflation is not seen good because it creates instability. The opposite of inflation, deflation, is usually seen as something very bad. So usually inflation at a rate of 3%, 4% is seen unharmful. 10% even is sometimes tolerated. Usually when it comes to rates of 15 to 20%, it's beginning to be seen as extremely harmful inflation. While in the case of deflation, even 1% decrease in prices is saying something terrible usually. And basically, that can be explained by the fact that deflation is hurting the debtors. Because when prices fall, well, the debtors will sell something and then get money and then pay their debts. But the price of everything is falling down, but the money they own remains the same. So now they need to sell more than what they expect to pay their debt. Who are the biggest debtors in the economic system? The employers, the people who hire workers. So in that sense, the deflation is hurting businesses. Well, especially in case of the inflation, basically the workers who are less skilled, the ones that are less available to bargain their wages, are harmed most. The ones who are, for example, if someone is CEO or Hollywood star, that person can renegotiate his or her wage, so that person is not harmed. So in case of inflation, similarly, large companies may renegotiate their debts in every sense, and the wages they will pay to their workers. But small businesses, especially small farmers and small shops, maybe are harmed by the deflation more. And in addition to that, I should add, in addition to the inflation and deflation, also unemployment is something that macroeconomics is concerned with, but usually its connection is it is studied with the connection of inflation and deflation. and in my opinion, it's not at the center stage as much as it's center stage as it should be. I'm also teaching labor economics course, and basically labor economics course is taken as a microeconomics, but has macroeconomics aspects. This connection of macroeconomics is very small, which is I think something but good about it. That's the deficiency of economics, in my opinion. But unemployment is also somehow part of macroeconomics. Also, to some extent, it's the background in macroeconomics. Another aspect is international imbalances. Basically, the exports, imports, and their whether they are equal to each other, or whether you have deficit, or whether you have surplus from the exports and imports. In addition to the trade, also the imbalances in terms of financial flows. For example, whether financial funds are flowing to your country, or financial funds are getting away from your country, are important, because if international finance is flowing to your country, you got resources, and actually that's why decreasing the interest rate might be sometimes a bad idea, especially for developing countries like Turkey. Why? Because if you decrease the interest, well, on one hand, you might help the businesses in your country, but they can only borrow money as much as it is available, and especially in order to do foreign trade, they need dollars, and you cannot print dollars, so those dollars should come from foreign countries. But in order to attract those dollars, you need to increase the interest rate. So in case of Turkey, that's the in case of Turkey or Argentina or any developing country, that's the trade-off. I mean, lowering interest rate to basically provide cheap funds to your businesses, or increasing interest rate to get international funds to your country. You should find a balance between those two things. And international flow of capital to do investment is another thing that usually international economics is interested in. Unfortunately, due to our chrono break, which lasted 1 week, I have to take out one topic which I have chosen to be international economics, which is anyway a topic to which I have written if we have time left. So I have left that topic. Well, there are introduction of economics courses sometimes like that part anyway. But I think that part, if possible, it is nice to cover it, to see the connections between them. At least what happens when you have international aspect of economics there. But for this time, for this year at least, this term at least, we need to take that out. And if you're interested, you can study that, and I will encourage you to do that. And I can also provide you resources to do that. Anyway, this is the end of today's lecture, International Economics. See you in the next lecture, which should be on GDP and growth, and stay healthy.